Welcome to Techlearners. In today's lecture, we will talk about the looping statement while. In the previous lecture, we had seen that the loop statement provided by the Java are three in types: for, while and do while. We have already discussed about for loop in the previous lecture. In today's lecture, we will discuss about while loop. So let's talk about the syntax of the while loop. As we know that while and for loop both are entry controlled loop. That means before we enter into the looping statement, we check the termination condition, similar to the for loop. So let's see the syntax. First, we need to initialize the variable. Initialization is required, which will help us in entering into the while loop. Before we enter, we use the keyword while with the termination condition. So here, before we are entering into the loop, we check the condition. So that is why it is called a entry controlled loop, similar to the for loop, where before we enter, we check the condition. So once this condition is true, then we get inside the for loop and the statements are executed. Once all these statements are executed, then the updation condition is encountered. So all the four basic things of a loop are here. One, initialization, the termination condition, the statements of the body, and then the updation. So let me show you the use of while with an example and output in the Java program. So you can see here I have two separate windows comparing for and while loop. In the previous video, you have learned about for loop, so it will be easy for you to understand while loop because we can use either of the loop anywhere. So just remember, in the for loop, this was the initial condition, then the termination condition, this was the updation, and this is the execution statements which are to be repeated. So let me show you. This is the initial condition is replaced in the while loop here with this initial condition. The termination condition in the for loop here is written inside this while loop. The statements are in the curly brackets, the statements are in the curly brackets, and this updation conditions come into this while loop after all these statements. So all the things are similar for the while and for the for loop. The only difference is that the place where we are writing all the four things. So here in the while loop, now let me close this for loop and let me enlarge this while loop because we will discuss this in detail. So this is the initialization condition. Then within while, this is the termination condition. Inside the curly brackets, first we write all the statements which are to be executed, and in the last, before the closing brackets, we use the update condition. And all the things are similar to the for loop. We can use integers, we can use short variables, we can use multiple assignment conditions, we can use multiple termination conditions here, we can use different updation conditions here, and everything will be same like into the for loop. Let me execute this and show you the output. So this is the while loop. Write value of the variable from 0 to 4 because we made this variable to begin for variable I from 0 until I is less than 5. And how we are updating the variable? 1 by 1. So from 0 it will be updated to 1. Then from 1 again it will be updated to 2. Then from 2 again it will be updated to 3. Then from 3 it will be updated to 4. And then once it is 5, this condition will be false and we'll directly jump out of the loop. So the flow of this while loop is something like this. First, initialization is done. Then we come to the condition. If the condition is true, then we go inside the loop, execute the body of the loop statements, and in the end we update the variable and we go back to the condition. Again the condition is checked, and if again the condition is true, we come inside the loop, execute the body, and again update the variable, and this process goes on till this condition is false. And once the condition is false, we directly comes out of the loop. So this is the flow of while loop, right? So we can see here we have to get a boolean value. Either we use a single condition, or like in the for loop case, we have used multiple conditions. If I is less than 5 and j is equal to 4. Now where from this j came, we'll have to initialize this j. Let's say j is equal to 0. So now we have two variables, two initializations I and j. Now this loop is based on two variables, multiple conditions. So the loop will execute till this is true, right? Now what we are doing inside the loop, what we are printing, we can repeat a simple statement, or we can print the value of the variables, we can play with the variables, we can print a table, we can do a lot of things. We can print patterns also, we can do a lot of things. So just see, here the condition is applied on the variable I, and the condition is also applied onto the j. Both the conditions need to be true. So till when this loop will execute, let me show you and check one thing. We have not used any update condition on j. So what will happen? J will always remain 0. We will enter the loop because this condition, no, we will not enter the loop. Let me use here j is less than 4, right? So j is 0 and the condition is true, I is less than 5, j is less than 4. We'll enter the loop, the value of I will be printed, the I will be updated, but j will remain same as 0. So now I will be 1 but j is 0. Again the condition is true, we'll execute the statement, and again I will be updated but j will remain same, that is 0. So j is never updating and this condition will always be true, but at some point this condition will be false. So let me compile this and show you the output, right? So this is the output. As we have used AND operator, which requires both the conditions to be false for the complete false output. So this is executed till this condition is true. Now if I use OR, right, so again either this has to be true or this has to be true, and remember this condition is always true because we have not used any updation value for j. So what should happen? You can keep guessing, guess it, and this is an infinite loop, right? This is an infinite loop. Why this is an infinite loop? Because we are not updating the value of j and it is always 0, and this condition is always true as we have used an OR operation. So the whole result will always be true. If you are not aware about these operators, please go and watch the videos I have separately made for operators, all types of operators you can go and watch. If you are not aware about the for loop, go and watch the video for the for loop and then come back and watch this video for the while loop. And both the loops for and while are very much similar. Now let me show you, can we eliminate this condition here? If we do not write anything, what will happen? This is a syntax error. That means we'll have to write something in this. I can write any boolean value. If I'll write true here, what will happen? This will be an infinite loop. Why? Because this will always remain true. There is nothing which is changing this to false. So this is an infinite loop. If I write here if I is equal to 5, now what will happen? This is a finite loop because we'll have to check the condition. Now initially I is 0 and the condition is I is equal to 5. So this is not true. So we'll never enter into this loop and this will not be executed. because initially the condition is false. Let me compile and show you. So this is the output outside the loop. That means we never entered into the loop because the condition was false. Right, now we can provide the counting in reverse order also, in skip order also, with different data types, with multiple initial conditions, with multiple termination conditions, with multiple update statements, and we can use the multiple printing statements also. So I hope you have understood the while loop. Let me make the video for do while loop, and do watch the video. Tune in, subscribe the channel for more videos. Thank you so much.